Why do I do this myself? Why? Steve, come on, man. Look at this thing. Oh, hey guys. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Honest Mechanic. And today we're going to embark on a little bit of a project, which includes this 2007 Am Outlander 500. My buddy Steve had a bit of a mishap, dumped it on its side. Now the engine's seized up, and I'm going to have to take a look at it for him because that's what I do. I just try to help everybody out. And actually, the engine is sitting right over here. Let me show you. Over here on the bench, we have a 500 Can-Am V-Twin. Like I said earlier, this is a 2007, and right over there, we got still my 2009 Subaru Forester engine that still needs to be rebuilt, or at least taken down and torn down and figure out what's wrong with it, which is what I'm going to be doing on this one, this Can-Am I'm talking about. But I want to show you guys something too that I got for Father's Day, because Father's Day is just passed. And I want to thank my girls for that. They support me very much through the channel. I always need to organize my shop, so they got me a nice little shop organizer, 18 bins, could put all my little tools and all my little doodads. Oh, and I have to put this down. I gotta show you this. Check it out. I got a tripod now. I can actually film more professionally than ever. I mean, my editing skills aren't really superb, but at least none of the shots are going to be still, not shaky. Anyways, guys, let's get back to the video. And speaking of support, if you guys haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, do that too. Hit the like button, and if there's any comments you have, put them down below. I'd like to read them. But let's get down to business here. Let's get our hands dirty. As you can see, I've hoisted the engine out of the frame using my fancy little tool here. And actually, I'll leave a link for this down below because I made this myself, and it works out really well for this as well. I use it to pull the Subaru engine out. But since I have it here, why not do both? So let me get this cleared up, and we'll get down to taking the clutches apart. Okay, so I want to start by stating that this isn't going to be my typical how-to video, because I've never actually torn one of these apart. Don't know what's inside, but I feel very confident. Hey, listen, it's an engine. He's already told me it's already a piece of scrap, so if I can't fix it, he's not too worried about it. But I want to get this up and running for him, so let's see what we can do. Let's start by taking the clutch out. I'm going to remove the front primary bolt here, just like so. We got a little bit of play here as well that I noticed earlier. So these clutches are actually a little bit on the different side. Okay, well, that doesn't seem right. There you go. Woo! So be aware that there's a big spring back there that is kind of keeping everything together. Maybe this wasn't such a great idea. Maybe I should take out the manual first and read a little bit. What do you think of that, eh? Okay, so give me 5 minutes and I'll be back. Okay, so I've done a little bit of Googling here. I don't think there's going to be too many more surprises. There's going to be a few, but as long as we take it nice and slow, we should be able to get there. So the next thing will be to remove the fixed sheave, and the way we're going to do that is by using a puller. So we shouldn't use power tools, but I'm going to use power tools just because it's a little bit quicker. But the proper way to do this would be to hold the sheave with a tool, or maybe jam a screwdriver in one of the fins here, and then of course use a wrench or a pry bar to get it apart, or you can just use the proper size socket, which is a 19 mil. Give it a couple of quick zaps, and then it'll pop out just like that. Okay, so moving on. We're going to remove the 8 bolts that are holding the CVT cover on, 8 or 9. and then that'll gain access to the back of the engine, and we're going to start tearing apart the top. Okay, so we're ready to remove the cover. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I like to be organized, and especially on a project that I'm not super familiar with, all the hardware needs to go somewhere, and you don't want to lose any of it. So if you got extra muffin tins, or you just take an extra muffin tin without your wife knowing, I like to label these sometimes 1 to 12 or whatever it is. And then I go in order, so I'll take the bolts apart, put them in there, next part over here, so on and so forth. That way there, when I go to rebuild everything together, I start from this end and work my way back to the top. That way there, nothing goes missing. Okay, so with the cover removed, now we can actually see a little bit more of the engine. And this engine actually has a separate transmission, unlike some of the engines I've worked on before. So Polaris likes to do this as well, where they put the transmission or the gearbox separate of the engine. So I think that's what I'm going to tackle next. I'm going to remove the gearbox so I can actually separate the engine. So I have to remove. Okay, so after removing those 3 bolts, or sorry, 3 nuts, I was able to wiggle the gearbox off the back. Pretty straightforward. It's got its own seal, so that's going to be pretty neat. Yeah, it's actually relatively straightforward, so nothing to be too intimidated about. Because this engine has access, I want to remove this cover, and let's get a good look inside to see what exactly went on, and see if we can kind of figure it out from there. So let's get our 8mm and get ripping. It's always a good thing too, when you're removing these, to make sure they're all the same length, and if they're not the same length, then maybe make a mental note or a mark as to where that bolt goes. Especially if you're like me and you've never done it on an engine like this before. I'm probably going to get a whole bunch of comments down below saying I'm doing this completely wrong, which, that's fine. I like to learn. I like to think. If you guys have any comments to do, let me know what I'm doing wrong. And if there was any way I could have made it easier for myself, always willing to learn. Well, let's see if we can try to open this cover. Oh, it's moving. It's moving. It's always a good sign. Before I go too far, I'm going to drain the oil, because I haven't done that yet, and I think I'm going to end up with a big mess. Oh, there's my extra bolt. Probably a good thing. All right, so let's drain the oil out of this thing. So I got the oil plug over the edge of the bench here, which is a little bit sketchy. But let's see if I can crack this loose and end up draining the oil without dropping the engine, because that would be bad. Let's see if I can catch all of this oil without making a mess. Yes. If I went to move my hand, I'd have been okay. This drain plug has a magnet on the end, and unfortunately we've got a little bit of metal on that. Nothing too severe though. So I guess that's a good sign. Where we can now remove the final bolt holding this cover, I think. So many unknowns right now. Moving. You guys hear that creaking? What do we got? What do we got? Okay. A gear setup for the oil pump, I believe. Everything at this end is looking okay so far. Unfortunately, has not given us any look into why it's all seized up. Like, this thing is just not turning. There's nothing I can do, even with the spark plugs out, to make this thing turn over. So let's make our way back towards the top. Normally when I would remove a particular cylinder head, I'm not removing the cylinder head now, but if I was to remove a particular cylinder head, I would always make sure that that cylinder head was on top dead center, so that way all of the valves were relaxed and there wouldn't be any issues there. See, everything up top is looking really nice. Check it out. There's really nothing going on in here, nothing too severe. Why did this thing stop turning over? Huh. Such a mystery. Again, other than watermarks on this side, she's looking really good. Okay, so let's remove the intake. Okay, so I've got the intake removed. I have the chain tensioner removed. I'm having a hard time with my stand here. But guys, what the heck is this? I thought I had one of these, but this looks to be like the reverse of a Torx. It looks like a 6-sided head. There's 4 of them. Those are under, I'm assuming, quite a bit of tension because that's the main head bolts. How am I going to remove that? Okay, after rifling through my tools, I definitely don't have one of these. But what I did find was that a 11mm fits over top of that just nicely. And I'm going to be using an impact socket, so hopefully it won't open up and strip these fancy looking bolts that are probably really expensive. I'm going to guess that they're probably just a one-time use because they might be stretched to yield. Again, I'm going to have to find that out through a little bit more in the manual, but I'm going to need to remove the cam chain before we can get too far. That's a 13. So if you guys notice as well, there are 2 timing marks. That's what those are. Those will most likely be flat against the top of the head. I'm going to cross my fingers that I don't damage any of these bolts. See what happens here. Nice and slow. Oh, it's moving. Oh. Woo. 1 of 8, I guess. I'm going to remove these in the crisscross pattern. There we go. And the last one on this side. Awesome. Look at these fancy bolts. Okay. But again, I'm really not seeing anything bad in here. Look at these valves. They look pretty mint. So why is this thing so stuck? Alright, so I've gone one extra step here, and because there's only 1 bolt holding on this starter, I decided to remove it just in case. It would have been seized up, but no, this thing is just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So what is causing this thing? Such a puzzle. Such a puzzle. Well, we're going to get down to it. So what I've done as well is I've removed the cap on the end of the flywheel here. And I have made a little bit of a tool, if I can find it, right over here. So what I've done, because I don't have the right size Allen wrench, but this is very, very close. So I've just locked 2 nuts together, and I tap that on there, just lightly. And I want to see, because I tried doing this in the frame, and I couldn't get any movement, but now with a few things apart, still not getting any movement. Like, this thing here is just Wow. Now to remove our funky bolts. Okay. Check this out. You can't even mess this up. They did a really good job at making sure that you can't install this cam gear on the wrong way. Good job, Pete. Very good job. Okay. No. That comes off. Yeah. If you're going to be doing something like this, you might need a big table. Okay. Let's remove the mag and see what we find in there. Alright. There we go. So that's all removed. Again, nothing severe in here. Everything looks really nice. I think a little bit of a love tap. And break those free. Just like that. Alright, let's see. Let's see here. This is where we might get an indication. Oh boy, yeah. Yep. Definitely got something. Let's get a little closer. Alright, so with this much scoring on the piston skirt, tells me that there was a lack of lubrication at one point, or possibly an overheat, but this looks more like a lack of oil. I don't really see too much going on inside the cylinder. I mean, it's looking pretty good. A little bit dirty at this point. So less damage on the skirt of this piston as compared to the other side, but check this out. You guys see that? So as I move one, the other side's moving. That means that way down below here, let me see if I can get in there. Yeah, way down below, the connecting rods are seized right tight to the crankshaft. So the crankshaft is actually rotating in the case fairly freely, to be honest. That's really nice. Maybe our next step here is going to be to split the crank, and it looks like I'm going to be able to split it without having to remove the magneto or the flywheel. So on each end there's a seal going through, and this is kind of neat. You take the 3 bolts out and you remove the rear PTO shaft, going right through the front, right through the engine, but it's actually not connected to the engine in any way, which is kind of neat, I guess. So yeah, so now we're gonna start zipping off all the screws that are holding the casing together, starting with the small ones. I think I may have found the reason why this wasn't coming apart, and it's right there. Yeah, you can see it right in the middle, and there's the bolt. Now I actually had to use the Torx head to remove it because it was so much junk in there. I guess I might have stripped it out. And it's a Torx 30, in case you guys were wondering. So let's get back to trying to break these halves free. Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch you in the next video where I'm possibly going to be putting this thing back together. That's the plan after all. I mean, I do want this running now that we know what the issue is. So, see you then. Man, I got a big cleanup to do here. Look at this mess. Organize all these parts.